Okay. So we do a preseason camp. We go out to Wolf Creek Education Center in the Prairie Creek National Forest and just spend some time, kind of alone in the woods there. And we have some purposeful activities, but also some of the downtime there really, tends to kind of build that group. But also just the quality of the squad that keeps improving each year. That is, I think, attracting more people who are really just want to be the best that they can be.
And so now that you have this strong foundation, what's something you and your runners have been talking about this week that is going to lead up to this race this weekend?
Yeah, so as actually further answer, now that you reminded me, of your previous question, we've also been working with a sports psychologist. We've had a few sessions. He came up and spent some time with us. And I think that was really good for the team to hear, a lot of times it's similar things to what I've been telling them, but to hear it from somebody who's an expert, and to have it presented by somebody who's an expert in a more expert way. So that's been great. We've been following up with that individually, one-on-one. And so that's been tremendous, I think, in continuing to build that team culture, but also sort of the mental strength. Yeah.
To kind of add on to that, I guess, how do you think this first meet is going to go to kind of set up a good trajectory for the whole season?
Yeah, this is probably our lowest key race of the season. It's a good introduction to the distance. It's a different distance for everybody. The women go from 5K to 6K. The men go from 5K to 8K if they're coming out of high school. If they're coming from JC, they go from 4 miles to 8K, essentially 5 miles. So it's a significant step up in distance. It's nice to have it be like, A, at home, and B, not like super pressure filled and a huge race. After this, the races will only get bigger as far as like numbers, but also bigger as far as like intensity and meaning. And so this is sort of a safe start, and then we ramp things up from here.
Coach, one thing I noticed looking at your schedule, you have, and we'll touch on this more too as the season progresses, but you head up to Monmouth, Oregon for the Mike Johnson Classic, and then the Paul Short Run, Pennsylvania. That seems like a new one. What kind of attracted you to compete in that one this year?
So there's a few factors that kind of led to that decision. One is simply a student athlete experience standpoint. Philadelphia is a historic city in the United States. Used to be our capital. A lot of the founding of this nation took place there. It's also just a big East Coast city that a lot of mostly West Coast kids that are on our roster may not have ever seen. And so just giving them exposure to that is something I've wanted to do, to travel to some of those historic cities like Boston, New York, Philadelphia. So this gives us that opportunity to see Philadelphia. Also, competition-wise, like it's a huge meet. We're going to race against nationally ranked teams from other divisions and from within our division, against maybe some Division I, programs. It's hosted by Lehigh, which is a D1 school. There'll be probably 40 teams in our race. So it'll be huge. It'll be as big as a national championship as far as like number of runners, actually bigger. And so I think that's also a good experience as we prepare for potentially going to a national championship, a regional championship, a conference championship, to be in a big race like that, and get comfortable with that big race atmosphere. And then with hopes of potentially earning an at-large berth to the national championships, traveling outside the region and trying to beat some of the top teams from other regions. That's one of the things that we have to do in order to try and earn that at-large berth. And so going to Pennsylvania, running against some of the teams from the PSAC and that Atlantic region, but also there'll be teams traveling over from the East region, and from some of the Midwest schools. So we'll get multiple different regions that we'll get to compete against, and hopefully prove ourselves to be worthy of an at-large berth later in the season.
All right. Well, that seems to be all. Thank you, Coach, and good luck this weekend. 8:30, Beaupre Golf Course in McKinleyville.
Yep.
And we look forward to watching you guys run this weekend.
Awesome.
So,
Thanks.
Thank you.